1 foot out of the pub.
I don't think
Trying
he's
to
at
get
the
out of
pub
there.
because it's like what time is it on the West Coast right now?
1 p.m.
Right. So he's probably not at the pub. He's not a big drinker anyway. Like last time, I'm pretty sure he was just like drinking fucking sparkling water or something last time I saw him in a drinking hole. Hello and welcome to Game of Nodes, a weekly podcast on the cosmos from independent validator teams. And we are still awaiting, I don't know how much of that was live before, but we're still awaiting Jake.
Didn't you press the button?
Who may be in the pub. Nay. So yes, we're waiting on Jake. He will be here at some point and then we can crack out the spreadsheet and get rocking. Until then, hello everybody. Welcome to 2023, an exciting new year of bear market awaits. And you can't really see it, but we've got a special background here, which is an old meme that I ripped off of Jabby, I think, although another person who's rugged us.
Was Jabby supposed to be on tonight as well?
Well, he was supposed to be on last week, and then there was kind of noise about maybe this week, and that's obviously not happened. So, Jabby.
Maybe I better go back to organising the guests, mate.
Well, I mean, I don't really do it. I just send DMs to people,
Done.
and then they let me down.
Done. It's yours.
And Jabby's not supposed to be a guest. He's supposed to be a regular.
He's friend of the show.
He's supposed to be.
When you haven't been here for 10 months, you can no longer be called a regular.
I mean, yeah, like one day when this is like a mega podcast, historians of the podcast can go back and work out exactly what the gap is between this show and when he was last on. And I would guess it's 6 months, maybe. No, because it was the autumn one with the dog bouncing around in the background. So it's got to be probably only 4 months, I guess. Yeah, that's the view outside. So for those of you listening on podcast players, we just got treated to a panoramic webcam tilt from Null.
That was for Rama.
To show the somewhat cloudy, because it's the middle of summer for you, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like definitely in the middle of summer. But I think a lot of the cloudiness of that was like the cleanliness of that window. But it is overcast.
Right. Is it like jellyfish season at the moment?
It depends on which way the wind goes. If you get an onshore wind, that might bring up blue bottles and jellyfish, but not really. Like maybe up north at like Cairns and that you get irukandji, so you can't really go swimming up there unless you got a stinger suit.
Yeah, and presumably if you're not wait. Okay, let's wait. We're gonna have to come back to what you just said there, because stinger suit. What? Yeah, let's put a pin in that. So wait. You don't have the lethal flora and fauna where you are right now, because I mean we all know everything we know about Australia because of The Simpsons, right? Which is that everything will kill you, right?
Yeah. So, well, at the moment you could probably die in 7 different ways before you get to your gate, just from the snakes and fucking ants and not ants. What are those other things with legs? Spiders. Like when I went out to get a coffee this morning, I literally walked through a spider's web with a fucking enormous spider in it. Didn't see it. But yeah, like on the coast here, it's like pretty populated. There's not really too much stuff here that'll eat you. But in the water, so in this area, you can get box jellyfish, which are pretty bad if you run into one of those. But other than that, there's these little jellyfish. They're like pretty small. They're called irukandji, and they're super lethal. But they're up in the warmer water up north.
I thought it was box that were lethal.
Yeah, they're pretty bad. They'll fucking fuck you up.
Right. So okay. I promise.
But they're not. There's not tons of them though.
We put a pin in it a second ago. What the fuck's a stinger suit?
Yeah. So when you're up in Cairns, when you're up at like Cairns or up in the northern parts of Australia, all on that tropical coast they've got irukandji, right? They're like little jellyfish that are deadly. So, as well as crocodiles and shit. But so a stinger suit's just like a wetsuit. It's like from here, to your wrists, to your ankles, and you can wear booties that if you like bump into them, then they can't sting you. So you can go
They can
surfing.
still just sting your hand. So
Yeah, but you put little mittens on or whatever. Your
but they
face.
sting your face.
Oh, actually, the stinger suits are like, they come like right over, so it's just like your face sticking out.
So in order,
Let's just say that you're like
water,
significantly reducing the surface area that you can be stung.
in order to go in the water, you need to fully close off any entrance, any patch of skin, any entrance to your body.
Yeah, and it's like hot as well because it's the summer.
Beautiful.
Are you suggesting that the scene in Point Break with Patrick Swayze when he goes and swims during the hurricane, that probably wasn't correct because he wasn't wearing a stinger suit?
No, so that was so Point Break was what's the name of that beach? That's Bell's Beach. That's all the way down in the south of Australia, down on the south coast.
And that's not a lethal beach. Okay.
No, there's no irukandji down there. There's only sharks. Probably a lot of sharks down in the bite. So
just lots of sharks. Wait. So hold on. Just to bring this back to a previous point, then, what are your thoughts on Point Break? Because we've established you don't like heat, and you're wrong. But you, Point Break.
Point Break's a great movie. It's one of the best.
Right. So we're okay. So Point
It's
Break.
right up there with Dirty Dancing.
There's lots to take in the statement that was just made. Yep. Okay. I just saw a usurper look momentarily sad and angry and resigned.
Well, hold on now.
It's like a car crash out of the middle of nowhere.
That Dirty Dancing is a fantastic movie.
Yeah, I think so too. It's a classic Swayze movie.
Wait, did you say Patrick Swayze?
Wait, who's in that? It's a good movie anyway.
You're close.
Hello, welcome to Game of No's, a weekly podcast on the Cosmos from Independent.
Special guest Patrick Swayze.
Right, Patrick Swayze is often that's how I've heard it said.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I would say to that. Anyway,
it is Patrick Swayze. The Swayze, I said.
Yeah, but you said Patrick Swayze.
No, I said this Swayze.
You did? Well, good thing we're recording this. We'll go back.
Good thing we can go back to this later.
Yeah, you go back. You
when
set
when
the
you
record
start editing
straight.
the podcast version, this could be like liar. I knew it. 100%.
Rewind 30
seconds. I thought you were looking weird because I thought that all of a sudden, like, Patrick Swayze wasn't in that movie. I'm like,
no, he wasn't in that movie.
I went and looked it up, and I'm like, yeah, it's Patrick Swayze.
Keanu? Busey's the best in that movie, though. Fucking Busey's awesome in that movie. Utah. Around the corner. There's a sandwich shop. Best meatball sandwich I've ever had.
Is Gary Busey in that movie?
Oh yeah.
I'm going back to watch it. I love Gary.
He's Utah's partner.
He's awesome.
When they're doing the stakeout and he wants them to go get 2 meatball sandwiches. Utah. Give me 2.
I think I need to I need to go back and watch Dirty Dancing and Grease. I think they were 2 cool movies.
And what was the other one?
Grease.
Okay.
Yeah, man.
Cool.
Be a 12-year-old girl again.
Yep.
Love it.
100%.
Do you sing along?
No.
Everyone sings along with Grease. Come on.
They got the sickest cars in that movie, man. It's fucking you can't get those cars anymore.
I should go back and watch Point Break. I haven't watched that movie in 20 years. I bet you it still holds up.
So
yeah, go back to back with Dirty Dancing. Just do a Swayze-a-thon.
Ooh, throw some Ghost in there. I'm not as big a fan of Ghost, but
Ghost is not a good film.
I did actually watch Roadhouse. Just a few
Roadhouse.
Roadhouse is a good fucking movie. I like
Roadhouse is funny for the memes, but it's
a lot of memes floating around for Roadhouse. Is there?
I think it started with that Family Guy thing where he just started kicking people and going Roadhouse.
Right.
Everyone's a funny joke, to be honest. But yeah. I think that
it's amazing how fast South Park is onto stuff, like with the SBF and all that shit. Like South Park's always straight onto current events. They're pretty good.
It's good.
Well, they make them like as events unfold, right? Like the episodes are literally made like the day before or something.
Yeah, they're made
Like
in
the
week before.
South Park is just, South Park is just like a living history of, it's like literally the history books of the world.
History books of shitposting, at least.
History will be told with South Park in schools in the 2400s.
In the post-apocalyptic rubble. So the final thing we actually we rugged ourselves. I can't remember who rugged who. Did I get rugged? I think I got rugged last week.
There was a rugging.
We talked about the results of the merch poll, right? So and like a prat, I've actually closed the results of the merch poll and get them back up. Talk amongst yourselves.
Talk amongst yourselves.
So I got my partner a coffee. I think she's still in bed. I'm going to go and see if she started to drink it and steal it.
Okay.
So wait,
That's
literally,
awful.
so half the show.
So-
So my like, I need to just look up the results of this merch poll. Noel's reaction is, I will also leave the chat.
That was
Okay,
like
excellent.
2 layers of talks amongst yourselves. That was talks amongst yourselves, and Noel's like, I'm gonna leave. You guys
Yeah,
talk amongst
it's
yourselves.
just like, I'm gonna head out.
And I get up and Schulte's by himself.
Oh boy, is that your suggestion for a sticker, usurper?
Talks amongst yourselves.
No, is that the Chili Peppers?
I don't know who that is. But
Is that
that's
the
an awful
mid
picture.
'80s Chili Peppers?
I don't know. It's a good picture though.
Okay, so we asked on Twitter last week before the 2022 award show whether we should do some merch, because as people may know, some of the lads who are not who are not as lame as me are going to be in ETH for Denver, in Denver for ETH Denver next March. Doxed. If you have a grievance to air with them, you can find them in person. And Usurper wanted stickers, and then merch. So we put a poll on Twitter, or I put a poll on Twitter, which had some of the statements from last year's Game of Nodes that were in the spreadsheet. Notably, I forgot to put Holistically Wholesome on the list, but based on the poll, I think it wouldn't have got much traction anyway because all the sweary ones won. So the options were WAGTGA for We Are All Going to Jail, Drop in Nines, which I know we're all fans of. The general public were not interested in that one. Fungible as fuck.
They validate with better.
Which was the runaway winner, the absolute runaway winner. Fungible as fuck got double the votes of any other option, and I think got more votes than all of the others put together. Yes, it did. And then the final option was I dump shitcoins. In the kind of I see dead people sort of 1990s. What film was that?
Sixth Sense.
Sixth
Sense, yeah.
Kind of M. Night Shyamalan kind of vibe. The I dump shit.
Shyamalan?
Shyamalan?
Featuring Patrick Swayze.
Shyamalan? Well, okay, whatever. Featuring Patrick Swayze. So I dump shit coins was also pretty popular, but was edged out by still got Fungible as fuck, got double the votes. So yeah.
I thought you said that the We're All Going to Jail one won it.
Well, no, you're jumping the gun. You're jumping the gun with
fuck, sorry.
A bit of rigged election.
The
gun is you again.
Yeah,
so the goalposts are being moved.
The gun is that we actually don't listen to anything.
So people also overwhelmingly said a t-shirt or a hoodie was their desired means of merchandise delivery.
So we're not doing those, right?
Yeah. So we were kind of thinking hoodies and stickers, and we were thinking of basically rugging everybody and going with We Are All Going to Jail on the rear of the hoodie, because you got to walk around in this fucking thing. And I dump shit coins, whilst hilarious, is more of a t-shirt vibe. This is the thing. As soon as people went hoodie over t-shirt, that changes the vibe, because you can put you can shit post on a t-shirt in a way you can't on a hoodie. A hoodie is like Maybe because
So
I
what
live in a
about
cold
the-
place. I'm like, you wear that all the time. You have to wear it in all sorts of situations. You can't just like put. You can't put
Well-
fungible as fuck on a hoodie. That's not a thing you could wear.
Why not?
Yeah, that's not professional at all, is it?
Yeah, you can put it
That's-
on a t-shirt. That's
I would,
It
fine.
I would wear that
epitomizes-
hoodie. I would
It
definitely wear that hoodie.
epitomizes the fucking show here.
What fungible as fuck?
Yeah.
Well,
Like, it's
I
just
say, I'd wear fungible
completely
as
in the
fuck is a-
style of this show. Why would you want to
fungible as
put
fuck
something
is
that's
a great sticker. It's a great t-shirt. I'm not sure it's a great hoodie.
We could do
So why don't we
multiple
do a
things.
t-shirt as well?
We can
as
do anything we
the-
want.
Hey, we can
Fucking thing.
expand the merch range. I'm not against that.
Expand the merch range.
I don't know that putting "we're all going to jail" is a good thing to put on a fucking hoodie. It's like kind of makes us, you know,
It is- but when-
it's
when-
hard to have plausible deniability when you've put it on a fucking shirt.
Do you know the funny thing is, right? So the "we're all going to jail" joke, I think, originated in the flat that we were sharing in Lisbon nearly 18 months ago, and I can't remember, but I think one of the Stargaze guys said, "You do realize that if you walk around in a t-shirt that says 'we're all going to jail,' that's no longer plausibly deniable." I think it was Jorge or Shane that nixed that idea in the first place. And then 12 months later, revisited
we are.
the game of nodes because we're more confident in our ability to not go to jail.
Maybe that one should just be a sticker, but it should definitely exist.
But I think as long as if it's like WAGTJ in the kind of style of WAGMI, it's kind of like
Which
it's
makes it-
satire, right?
But
It's
it makes
like,
it perfect for a laptop.
yeah, well, but
To
like
go to East Denver, have it in the back, and people be like, "That's not WAGMI. What the hell is that?" Well, let me tell you about this place.
let me tell you
Well,
about Game of Nodes.
I'm a Juno validator.
I think the
Yeah,
fungible
the
as fuck is
judo
perfect.
Definitely.
I guess you're not
Fungible as
Juno
fuck's a
validator.
perfect sticker for a laptop as well. Hey, just
Yeah, that
for
is a
all
great
of the
sticker.
people who are listening and not watching, welcome Jake, the DAO maximalist, has
Yo.
joined us here in the bottom right.
Have you had a haircut?
No.
Okay.
No.
Have you had a haircut in the last 2 years?
Looking a bit less bushy than last
Wow.
time you were on the show.
All right. Well, maybe there's like a 100-year flood happening here, so it's probably just all the moisture in the air. I don't know.
Oh god damn! Where are you? Are you in you're in your house? Are you?
I'm in San Francisco, yeah, and it's like fucking torrential downpours outside. I hope I don't lose power.
Where's the couch I'm going to be sleeping on, bro? What does that look like?
It's
Surprisingly, it looks like a floor.
it looks like a floor. You got rugs.
It looks like
You
a
got
rug
rugs.
in the looks like a rug in the fucking corner.
It's bear markets. You can't get couches here, you know.
It's a rug in the corner so we can fucking
Yeah,
pull
it's
it
an
out for me
actually
while I'm
rug.
sleeping.
Yeah. You're like, fuck you.
You could roll up in it.
You do have a table, right, or something?
Yeah, I got a table. Yeah.
There you go.
Good.
You got
You
a
got a
table.
sofa?
No.
No sofa.
no,
Chair? Two chairs and
I
a
have,
rug.
I have
Two chairs
chairs.
and a table. You could put the table in between the two chairs.
Yeah, I actually have 2 desks, which is great. You know, gotta have
I'll pull them
different
together.
places to sit.
Yeah, just
Yeah, exactly.
pull the
Put
two
them
desks together. Futon on top.
It'll be great.
Call it
So,
fusion living.
Like, how close to the Chads of Silicon Valley are you? Can you like walk out and shake hands with Bezos? Or
I mean,
Bezos is Seattle.
Bezos is yeah, it's Seattle, but you know,
I don't. How the fuck would I know that?
Noz like, I'm Australian. I have no point of
No
reference
idea.
for what that
You know what the hell that is?
It's all just one blob on the map to me with a funny shape. Like.
yeah.
But anyway, I'm looking forward to the trip. I need to find. Maybe I'll try and find Patmos and like sleep on his couch as well. I'm like
You need
trying
to
to.
work out where Patmos's bunker is first, don't you?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'd love to, hang out with Patmos. That'd be so sick.
Unless of
I'm
course
trying to
he's
like
being
string
jabby.
together some couches to sleep on. So far, I've got like one which has already been rugged. So I feel like it's not going well.
I mean, if you mean like crashing on Jabby's couch, then you can find Jabby pretty easily. He's near lots of roundabouts, which narrows it
I
down.
would have to fight an entire clan of other people to be able to get a place to sleep in that house.
Yeah, I guess you need to fight at least 8 Jabby juniors, right? 6 Jabby juniors.
You would get a dog to cuddle with, though, which would be nice.
That's true.
Yeah,
You don't have
me
a
and
dog
Winston can
Instagram
just
feed.
chill.
Yeah, we don't have any dogs around here, so
Yeah. So 2023 preview episode. Although we are already in 2023. Is this the Reasons to Be Cheerful podcast? So
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, reasons. There was there not a new meme coin that came out?
I have no idea. Was
You
there?
know,
That's great
That's-
news.
It's good.
That's
It's good.
let's all
This is what
share.
we need,
It's gonna pull us
isn't it,
out.
really.
Let's sing that
perfect.
from the rooftop.
Yeah, so I was gonna say, well, what's the what's the thing we're most excited about in 2023 apart from getting promoted to shift manager at McDonald's?
Who's starting?
I feel like Null's got the energy there. Go on.
I missed it. I was reading a
We,
tweet.
we
I
all
missed
know
the
what
question.
Jake's gonna say.
This.
Yeah, so I don't even have to say it. I don't even know why I'm on the show. You know what I'm gonna say.
Okay, well, Jake, do you want to go first?
We could I think we could train an AI to be
You could
Jake.
just, yeah,
Jake.
someone could just say it for me. Alex, just say what I'm excited about this year.
No.
All right. Well, I'm excited about.
Did he really just lag out right there?
No.
I thought he just rubbed it. He just froze. I was like, oh, he just pulled the
I
pin.
just don't want to say the word. Everyone knows what's coming.
Jake is excited as shit
About
Come on.
About,
Say the word.
Stargaze. I'm excited as shit about Stargaze. It's gonna be great.
fucking
So
DAOs.
many ways.
say the catchphrase, Bart. Say the catchphrase. It's just exactly like that scene of The Simpsons, isn't it?
Say it.
Yeah, it's the DAOs, man. It's the DAOs.
DAO V2 just around the corner, right?
Yeah, it's
Payment
I think-
streams, right?
I think it's gonna be
New UI,
Yeah.
right?
all the things. So many things.
So many things.
Wow. Many features, much features. Wow. It's great.
So, much wow. Tell me, one thing I reckon is going to be cool is the payments, like the salary, whole friggin' being able to just manage that.
Yeah, I think it'll be easier and more transparent to see what all the different DAOs are doing, what sub DAOs are doing. But I think it's also a good way for us to move forward. We need vesting payments and stuff. We need new ways of incentivizing contributors. And I think that, we'll start to see all those tools in action over the next year, which I'm really excited about.
So, has much been achieved in the way of IBC DAOs yet? So, I'll give you an example. Is he lagged out again? No. So,
No, that's
there's the Chihuahua DAO, right? Which actually they IBC'd all of the DAO assets over to Juno and have the treasury on Juno. Is there going to be any functionality in the future, or you might even be, whether you're working on it now, to interact directly with that blockchain over IBC or something? Or would it be a scenario basically where I'm thinking non-WASM chains being able to do IBC stuff over there?
Yeah,
or do you need WASM?
We're trying to build in support for interchain accounts, so we don't need WASM. But however, the interchain accounts stuff is kind of a little bit of a mess. I'm not gonna lie. And there's different versions of IBC, and people are using different versions of IBC. And I think interchain accounts are cool and have a lot of potential, but the rollout for them has been kind of a clusterfuck. I'm not gonna lie.
So Jacob hasn't successfully bumped all of Cosmos yet into the right IBC? Or?
Well, it's also the interchain account standard changed a little bit actually too. But I think it's pretty starting to get solidified now. And yeah, that's something that you're going to be able to do, is you're going to be able to control an account on one chain from a DAO on a chain like Juno, for example. So interchain accounts is going to be a really big deal.
That will be awesome. And you've successfully centralized the thing with an indexer, right?
Yes, definitely. The way Noah did it, it's pretty interesting. It uses the chain as a fallback. So if like the indexer doesn't like load for whatever reason, say it gets like blocked by, you know, the Australian government, they don't want you looking at Kangaroo DAO or whatever, like,
Whatever the hell it is.
you know, then it falls back to, you know, querying RPC nodes, and then they'll just, you know, censor King nodes RPC, and you're gonna lose points. I don't know.
Can't censor King nodes RPC.
What's the payment piece? Is that actually the way it sounds like, where a DAO can hold a set of funds maybe for community dispersal or something like that, and then based on stake coins you can approve proposals and those types of things for payment? Like, is it kind of a centralized structure for that?
Yeah, so DAO V2 has like a lot of new payroll features, which are really cool. So you can vote to pay someone like a vesting amount. There's a lot of different kind of configurations you can do there. I mean, you can already vote to like send someone money. So you could send someone Juno or send someone USDC from your DAO treasury. You can vote on those kind of things, but we're making it also so you can vote to instantiate these kind of vesting contracts. We also have like our sort of coordinate style retroactive rewards system that we actually use in DAO. So at the end of every month, everyone like writes down what their contributions were, and we like vote as a DAO on, you know, like how valuable we thought those contributions were. And then there's a set amount of tokens that like goes out every month to like the contributors based on like how people voted. And that achieves actually a couple of things. Is it makes everyone document what they fucking did that month.
That's good.
In order to get tokens, which is like a big thing that the community really wants, is like, hey, what the fuck have people been doing, you know?
Yeah.
And second of all, I think it's kind of like, you know, people are getting like compensated based more on like what they did versus like, here's this like, you know, payment that you just get up front. And a lot of times, you know, people don't follow through for whatever reasons. It's a good way to keep people accountable, because you're only getting sort of paid retroactively for what you did. It's not like, so I think that's going to be a really interesting thing. You know, when it comes to like payroll and all these things, I don't think there's like one right solution. There's no one size fits all. Everyone's going to want, every like sub DAO or different DAOs are going to like want different ways of kind of doing compensation. So we do have staking actions as well. So you like DAOs can delegate to validators, which I think will be really interesting. And we have Auth UI support, which is also going to be great. So delegation DAO will be able to like use Auth to, you know, manage delegations.
Was that delegations one basically put in there for the delegations DAO to begin with? Is that like the
you know, actually
required for that?
Actually, I've always thought that Auth is really fucking cool, and yet there's no UI for normies to use it at all.
Yeah.
Like there's nothing in your Kepler wallet. There's a few like things like YieldMos or like a few apps that like let you auto compound staking rewards, but that's it. There's no other like Auth UI, and it's kind of a shame because it's one of the coolest features in the Cosmos. And so like we're really hoping like with Data V2 to like have some of the first like Auth UI, like, and I'm stoked to get people actually doing things with Auth aside from just auto compounding staking rewards.
Is that only for DAO related activities, or will have other functionality like governance and those types of things that might be outside the DAO?
Yeah. So I mean, we have it pretty generalized. So it's not just for staking rewards. And there's a secret page in DAO V2. If you go to like, when it launches, go to /wallet, and you can use the same UI for like composing actions and proposals to like just do individual transactions. So you can use a UI to like instantiate a smart contract, or you use a UI to like, you know all those actions, like when you make a proposal.
Yeah.
You can just use those like with your standalone wallet. You don't have to do it as a DAO. So cool. I think that'll be really helpful for a lot of people that want to use features like Auth or like mint NFTs or like do all these like random things. They don't necessarily want to do it as a DAO. They could also make a DAO with just one person in it. You know, that could be
Right. Yep.
that could be fun.
Cool.
Yeah.
A one-man DAO.
It's kind of the logical conclusion, isn't it? In America, you can be a corporation of one person, and therefore on the internet you could be a DAO of one person.
Yeah, kind of.
Well, I guess it means you could be a limited company in most jurisdictions with one person, but the corporation is a stranger one, isn't it? Because you've got like the corporation is like an embodiment of a abstract entity as if it was a person, and then as soon as it's like tiny again, you're like, wait, hang on a minute. But yeah. So how's DAO been affected by what's been happening recently? Like, because I know I don't really dip in the Discord anymore because I'm too busy with about 100 different other things. But like when I have done, it seemed like, you know, kind of pretty active and busy despite everything that's going on.
Yeah. Yeah, data is pretty great. I don't know. We have like a really core group of contributors that's like really motivated to work on it. And they're, you know, I think everyone would like, you know, for the market to go up, but we're all surviving, you know, and that's kind of just like, yeah, the mood. Everyone's really, really excited about like launching new stuff, and I feel the momentum's really good. I think we maybe lost like a couple. So we used to have like a fuck ton of contributors, and now we've kind of lost some of like the outside contributors. Now the like market's like down 90%. But like the core, like our best contributors, our core contributors are all still like super involved. So that's what we really do.
Who is the main core contributors there? I know there's like Noah and Zeke, and obviously yourself. Like, who are the other the main guys there, and girls?
Yeah, Case Organic is a really great contributor to DAO. That's another amazing person. Give them a follow on Twitter. Elsehow, or my friend Nick, is also a like really regular contributor to DAO. Janita, or Blue Note on, I think Blue Note on Twitter. I don't know. I have to check where her Twitter handle is, but she also is like a very regular contributor to DAO. And you know, then there's kind of like the long tail of like others as well, like people that just do like surprisingly, like actually NetaDAO has been, like a lot of the NetaDAO folks have been like really good contributors. They've like come in and like they test a lot of stuff. Like one of their members, Whiskey, has like actually written some contracts and things, and like has been doing some UI work on some like features that are going to launch shortly after V2, so like V like 2.1 or whatever.
I would occasionally drop in to like when people are doing like coding with the shared screen and then just annoy them. That's my contribution.
Thanks for helping the work get done, Noel.
Thanks for the contribution. Yeah.
Thanks for keeping everybody on task.
Noah and Zeke can just be there trying to like fix some delayed, UI.
You know?
this is why.
I'd be like, "What's this? What does that do? Why do you keep moving that? What's this?
What are you typing?"
Yeah. How would I do this other thing?
Can you get me an API so I can like get my transactions for taxes this year, please?
Yeah, I've been bugging everyone. I'm like, can I have access to your API? Can I have access to your
Who has a
API?
full node?
Can this export a CSV?
Yeah, we do actually have. We're gonna work on making it like available somehow, but we do actually have like a full index of the entire Juno chain, which is exciting.
So I actually, because I legit am trying to like figure out how to get all of my transactions right, and who was it in the Discord that suggested? Oh, it was Indigo from Artifact. He's like, hire a scraper, and I was like, what? And then so I started looking on Fiverr, and there's like all of these people who just scrape shit for like $30. So Could
To
be
what, like,
could
go
be
to
in the
Mint?
market for a scraper.
Like literally
Yeah,
go to MintScan, go to your thing, and just like start pulling transactions out.
Yeah, they just like write crawler bots to go
Yeah,
like hit MintScan and then just crawl and get all the info out of it.
that's one way.
And
to do it.
because MintScan actually shows the JSON in the transactions
Right.
page, you can basically just scrape the JSON for every single transaction so you can get the messages.
It'd be really nice if MintScan just had an API too.
It'd be really nice if MintScan just had fucking export to CSV. Like, it can't be much. I don't know if they're not doing it because it'd just
Should
be
be
so hard
it should
on
be
their
like
API.
it should be like a premium feature.
Yeah.
Like
pay $5, get a CSV.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
$5 get a CSV.
Yeah, like premium.
Such a good
MintScan.
business model for them.
It would
Goddamn.
Yeah, that would save a lot of time. That would save a fucking lot of time.
Like, they've literally got the entire fucking Cosmos indexed. Like, I would pay 100 Juno to get like the CSV, for God's sake.
Or $5.
Yeah, I mean, I'd rather pay $5 than 100 Juno. Although, wait, yeah, I mean, they are still slightly different.
Yeah, they're different. They're different.
Like, for me to get that transaction is going to cost, like, for me to do it myself would be like thousands of dollars worth of labor. For me to get someone else to do it, it's going to probably cost me several $100s anyway. So,
Mhm.
and I've got, for all the different wallets. I mean, if I'm getting someone to do it, I can't see myself getting out of it for less than $1,000.
Yeah, that's probably about the measure of it. Maybe more, actually. I think it took 5 days to get, or 3 days or something like that, to get a reasonable strategy working for the first time we had to do that for our quarterly tax return.
So Rama says,
pain.
save time and money. Don't do taxes.
I love it.
Who wants a "we're going to jail" hoodie?
Rama's like, pre-order.
I actually do really want that hoodie. I really want that. I would fucking wear that. I remember that meme. That meme was so good.
We'll do the hoodies.
We'll do the hoodies. It's gonna happen.
Do we need like some sort of design person, or
Yes.
are we just gonna have text?
Both.
We talked
Rama's
about
put
this.
his hand up for design.
We talked about this.
I don't know, Rama.
We
I
talked
don't want
about
a
this in
fucking
the,
raccoon.
we talked about this in the group chat. There's
The design? I thought the
Yeah.
group chat was more about just doing the
Usurper
the
wants a
letters, right?
flowery linen
come up with
shirt
something.
version with cursive text.
We'll come up with some good stuff.
A
Oh, I
Hawaiian
missed
shirt? That sounds
I
great.
missed the Hawaiian shirt part. Yeah.
I mean,
did
I was
not-
joking
that was-
about that, but
yeah,
now I
he was.
realize I've uncorked the bottle. I've opened.
Well, the problem with
the
the problem with like a floral or whatever design is that it kind of obscures the text. So
Thinking ahead, man.
yeah.
We'll come up with some options. We'll come up with some.
Though speaking as well, okay. So, but guiding us back onto 2023
My start now.
and the Cosmos. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. All right.
Go ahead, please.
So we started there with Jake. The answer was predictably begins with D.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, mesh security is going to be fucking sick.
I was going to say,
There was
And
actually a
then-
question
and
in the
then
chat
they-
on where people are at with mesh security, which last time I checked was still working prototype.
Yeah, still working prototype. The prototype has like come a long way. But so like we've actually been talking a lot with the Osmosis team, and Osmosis Grants program is providing a lot of funding for mesh security work, which is awesome. So that's really going to kick off this year. We have like Ethan and Confio team is going to be like contributing a lot of stuff. We have Cosmology. We're making this beautiful UI for it as well. Because, what good is like this complex cross-staking protocol if you don't have a UI to use it for normies? Like, so that's like going to be part of it. So like kind of the timeline is like Q1, we're going to have like more things working on testnets, like Juno Osmo testnet. We're going to have like also this really long architecture document written up about it. A lot of people were like rushing to like, you know, mesh security came out and then all these people like kind of like piled on and they were like doing their whole takes and this analysis on it. And it's like, guys, we don't even have like a full like written up version of it. You're just kind of like making up what mesh security is in your head.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, we're going to have Q1 test nets and, you know, kind of like this really nice architecture doc. With Q2, really looking to test and prod, probably like just one way, like with like a low market cap chain, like, I don't know, like Juno Joe or like Juno Wawa or whatever, whoever's down, but like do it like with real tokens.
Mm-hmm.
And then after we've kind of like done that for a while and gone through any audits or whatever, we're going to plan to deploy it Q3 with like Juno Osmo and maybe like some other chains as well. Whoever wants to join the Interchain Alliance or the Interchain Federation or whatever the fuck we're going to call it.
What will that look like as a validator? Is it a modified binary or is it?
No, see, yeah, this is a great thing about mesh security is you don't have to do any extra work as a validator. You just validate your chains.
Well, that sounds nice. What's the benefit for validators to be using it?
You don't have to do anything. It
just happens.
It just happens. You don't have to.
Well, what's the downside? What are the downsides and upsides, right?
I think it just makes no change to your life as a validator. Unlike ICS, where you have to worry about all this extra bullshit and oh fuck, I want to run the Atom chain now. I have to run like 5 different fucking chains, and yeah, I just really don't think that's. It's been like hyped for so long, and I feel like anytime something like interchain security is like hyped for so long without actually shipping, like the reality is inevitably going to be disappointing. And I kind of, I guess this is optimism. Anyway, I'm optimistic about mesh security. I think it's going to work out a lot better.
Yeah, but it just like, I mean, it is a little bit of the ICS thing is a little bit like the relayer thing, where there are certain things where you have to run additional software that are just completely intractable. Like they should be separate software because they are doing something like fundamentally different. And then there are some things where you're like, is this complexity worth the trade-off? Like that's the big one on oracles that I think I'm still not, you know, there are obviously reasons why a lot of Oracle use cases can't be done in a smart contract context. But I don't know. Obviously, we've had the noise podcast on here, and obviously their approach to how they do randomness and stuff is really, really interesting. And being able to do it with just smart contracts is really, really cool. And I think you're going to see increasing. I don't know. Probably there's going to be more use cases like that come along where people figure out a way of doing them that don't involve running additional software on top of what validators have to do anyway. Because yeah, I just don't see that. I don't see that the future is a more complicated world for the majority of validators. The future has to be more validators running less complicated software, right?
Yeah, I think that's the future. More validators running less complicated software, and then they can really focus on, you know, like scaling it's complicated enough to deal with like all the different aspects and all the different storage and all the different chains and all the different like other services you might provide on top, like RPC nodes and load balancing of RPC nodes. And like all this stuff is really complicated, and like anything extra like is just, yeah, kind of noise to me. And so actually this is one of the other things I'm really optimistic for in 2023. And I'm sure the Fray, like, you know, you're also really excited about this, is like, I'm really excited about like the movement around, it's kind of growing around CW SDK. Or Cosmos SDK. Just like get rid of like Cosmos SDK. Thank you for everything you provided to like the interchain, but like everything has its time and it kind of sucks. And I think there's a lot of potential and I think I'm really hoping that by like the end of this year, the progress on like CW SDK is just it's gonna be like starting to look really exciting. I don't know what the first chain is going to be or what or when that's going to happen. I think it's way too early to say, but I think it's kind of the right move. Just like these EVM chains, a lot of them are just EVM chains, and it's like, let's just make a awesome WASM virtual machine, and that could just power so many different use cases.
Yeah, well, I mean, the composable file one's a good step in the right direction in that case, like a general purpose CosmWasm VM.
Yeah.
It's almost kind of funny that it's come out when it has, because I do wonder if that had been out and stable when the CWSDK effort started, whether that development effort would have gone in a slightly different direction. It's hard to say because it's been a little while since I've looked at I've been following on the chat, but it's been a little while since I've tried to contribute anything to it, so I'm probably a bit out of date. But it does seem like the more general and the more abstracted that can be, the better for that project's longevity, and also just like a lot of the problems with which are solved by additional WASM bindings or by things like T-grade, right? If everything's a contract, you actually just don't have that problem anyway, because there's no difference between native and contract execution layer, which obviously, has its security. It has a security implication, which isn't like super cool, but it does simplify a lot of things about the application execution environment, right?
Yeah, totally. I think it just simplifies things. I think if you everything is complex enough, so whenever you can simplify things in code, it's actually better. One of the things I like about smart contracts, as opposed to this kind of monolithic SDK Ruby on Rails thing we've built, is that smart contracts are really isolated little bits of logic, and it's easy to test and reason about them. And I feel like the Cosmos SDK code is too much of this, it's like spaghetti. Each module is fucking wired into all these other modules at the lowest level, and it's just it's a nightmare.
Well, the way the capabilities stuff works, where it's all just dependency injection all the way down.
Yeah,
it's it's dependency injection, but it's kind of not really called that. And I know, this is the thing. I'm trying to be there's a huge amount of effort by some very, very clever people on this. There's a lot of rewriting work going down. I get all of that. I recognize all of that, and it's very easy to criticize from the sidelines. So I am kind of aware of all of that. But at the same time, it is also that there are a lot of things about the structure of the application that don't feel like modern application architecture, in the way that smart contracts are much more close to where the rest of the industry is, which is Kubernetes, throw some Docker containers at it, black boxes that you reason about individually and then you move on. Lambda execution runtimes where you literally just write 30 lines of code, write your 80 different pieces of functionality, throw them at AWS, GCP, whatever. There's your application. That's kind of where the rest of the industry is. That's where the interesting state-of-the-art applications are. And the closer you are to that rather than Ruby on Rails, which is a much older sort of paradigm, probably the better, in terms of scalable architecture, right?
Yeah. Anyway, that's something I'm really optimistic for this year, is the continued development of CosmWasm, and just really, I think, asking some of the hard problems about the SDK, and looking at ways we can really take what I think are the best things about Cosmos. What's the best thing about Cosmos? I think it's unquestionably IBC. IBC is the best thing about Cosmos. If I had to pick one thing. And then I think the second thing would be I really do think CosmWasm is the best smart contract framework at the moment. And it could get even better. And I think it's really great that we're seeing this kind of cross-chain adoption of CosmWasm. Even there's even an Avalanche project that's looking at adding support for CosmWasm, which is pretty sick. And then of course Polkadot and composable finance.
Yep.
The traction around CosmWasm is really good, and it's still early days, and there's not that many CosmWasm developers, but I think there will increasingly be more and more of them. And let's not forget, because it's WASM, because it's WebAssembly, we can also add support for other languages too. So TypeScript, or or technically assembly script, or like, you know, or like Golang, or, you know, and there's going to be work to be done. You know, there's actually, you know, there's actually like a team that's already working on some of these things. So that'll be exciting to see as well, like kind of going in the new year. It's just like how Cosmosm continues to evolve and how best practices like continue to be like figured out. And I think things like CW SDK are really important, because if we can like isolate like Cosmosm from like as a VM from like the rest of like the Cosmos SDK, we could really get some huge performance improvements. Like,
yeah. Well, also just the CW SDK is built on a user's Merc Nomics implementation of the Merkle storage, and that's based on RocksDB, so it's faster than IAVL, like when you benchmark it. So like right there, you've got for free. And also because it's Rust, like well, okay, not just because it's Rust, but also because of the way it's relying on other libraries for specific things and things in the standard library. It feels a lot less risky. Like, so the implementation is obviously in Nomic's Merc crate, but like I did quite a bit of looking into it to try and get my head around how that all fitted together as part of like the early CW SDK stuff. Other people actually did the big brain stuff. Obviously, Matt Bell and Larry did the actual implementation for that stuff. But what's interesting about that implementation versus the SDK implementation for that stuff is how much. I mean, I'm biased, right? I understand Rust better. It suits my mindset better, but like how much easier it is to read that code base for what it's doing, like the iterators and all that kind of stuff, versus you know, what's in the SDK and the kind of the Go version. But yeah, it would be a bit of a shame to abandon the Rust part, I think, as more languages come out, because I think that there is this like sweet spot with Rust having like a kind of close to research language level compiler, but still being like quite easy to pick up for the average developer. So because one of the other things that I've been looking into recently is like Move and, you know, kind of Aptos and Sui smart contract framework, and they have, you know, formal verification, all that stuff built in. But although it's not that complicated to work with those languages, I do look at those a little bit, and I get a little bit of the same feeling that I got when I first was introduced to something like Haskell, which is like, oh yeah, this is clever. Yes, this actually solves problems that people have if they get their head around it. And yes, it probably is better than the alternative. But as we know, NASA use Haskell for making sure, you know, space probes don't crash. But for the average developer, they just go, oh, I'll just take the bugs. I can't be bothered to learn this. And I wonder if Cosmosm with Rust sits in the sweet spot where people can be bothered to learn it, and they get some of the benefits of the safety and all that kind of thing that Rust just sort of brings out of the box, but it doesn't have that extra layer of, oh, okay, let's go engage in big brain time.
I do think it's kind of like a sweet spot. And it's funny you mentioned formal verification. I was actually just talking with Zeke yesterday about how we can improve Cosmosm testing and actually add some very formal verification, like kind of features to it, like kind of inspired by like TLA plus and all this kind of stuff. And I think we've got a really good plan for it, and we're gonna try to like introduce like this new testing framework on one of the future like smart contracts we work on. So I think Rust does kind of sit in the sweet spot where it's very safe and it's very powerful, and yet it's about as user friendly as you can get for something that's like so safe and powerful. I also think WASM WebAssembly is also in this kind of sweet spot of like, it's really, really performant, like a lot more performant than like the EVM, for example. But at the same time, like a lot of different things compile to it. Like if you're in Solana, you know, they use like Berkeley packet filters. A lot less libraries compile to that. So that's going to like really restrict like the kinds of things that you can do and the sort of like external software packages you could use. So like WASM is this thing that's like very, very performant. It's really, really fast. A lot of languages compile to it, which is also great. I think it's good to give people options. Like, sure, if you're making like a DeFi protocol that's going to control like $1 billion, you probably should write that in a language like Rust or something like Scala or like something that has a really strong type system and the compiler will scream at you if you like do anything wrong. But
I
if
think
you're
you
just
probably rust over Scala at this point because Scala is still pretty fucking permissive.
yeah, anyway, you write it in like a language that is like well suited towards that thing. But if you're just like working on like a game or whatever, it's like fine. Like I think we should give developers like tools to depending on like how crazy the thing they're trying to make is. Yeah.
Yeah. So the question is like with on kind of utility and stuff that's coming out this year, like we've talked in several of the most recent episodes about like, when will we see more better use cases? And you did a talk recently, didn't you? A case at the at Else House unit. What's the correct term in academia? Department.
Yeah,
Department.
it was at Berkeley. It was Center for Long-Term Cybersecurity. I don't know, like whatever.
Yeah, so department, I guess, right? And a lot of this discussion is around like, the balance between where we are now and crypto utility and all this kind of other stuff. And like, there's this broader conversation we've been having on the show for a few weeks, like maybe for the last month or so, about like, what are the use cases that we're going to see that are actually make the whole party worthwhile, right? And so that discussion you were having was about whether or not DAOs make the whole party worth having, right? And we're also looking for other use cases coming forward. And the question is now, like, if this crash was the .com bust moment for crypto, then most of the cool shit, most of the stuff that endured happened after that stage, after the really big collapse of the hype cycle in the late 90s. But the question is that actually what we've just been through, or is this just another little frisson of what's in store? And what are the things that people are going to build, right? Because like you said, some people are building DeFi stuff, which, whatever, I could give a shit about a lot of the time. But a lot of people are building games, they're building all sorts of other stuff, and
I think people
that's
need
almost
to
more
like
interesting.
almost like I think NFTs are great, and I think people need to take the hype out of NFTs. They put all this extra fucking baggage on like the term, and it's fucking dumb. Like I hate these like collector series, and you expect value to go up. Here's an idea: what if like artists, like like musicians that want to sell their music digitally, or like people that want to sell ebooks or publications, or just like sell content, sell like your like make like Bandcamp but with NFTs, but don't even fucking call them NFTs. Just like use it as a way to cut out the middlemen. Like right now, like on Bandcamp, they have pretty reasonable fees. They're like 10% of digital sales. Like we could crush that with crypto. You could drop it down to like 1% or like 0% like commission.
Right, but then if they don't cash that out on a reasonable time scale, then
just fucking use also like USDC or whatever. It's like just use the crypto rails. It's like, or like like give people options. Like like I think that there's been a lot of the industry that's trying to like do like too much new stuff at one time. Like what if we like took these concepts like of crypto and just like don't even package it as fucking NFTs, just my digital song, my digital art, like like Rhymer just wrote, but like on a blockchain, or like my ebook. It's like decentralized publishing.
I mean, that's kind of what Audius tried to do, and we had, we it's quite trivial to build those primitives into, like we had those primitives in HOWL as well. There was no UI for it, but like by the time you're sticking stuff on IPFS, right, or indeed any CDN, IPFS just being the kind of the anointed Web3 acceptable one, it's relatively straightforward to publish any kind of content. But the problem becomes that it's the scaffolding around it, right? it's the accepting the payment and transferring the thing without other people having access to the thing, and then you're back into hard stuff on our current model, which is how do you have things that are pseudo private, right? I'm not saying these are intractable problems, but they're not
I don't think they're
super low.
intractable problems, and that's why I think that if people really put their minds together, like these are like actually kind of like really great like real world use cases. Like everyone's like, crypto, what's with these like tradable like JPEGs? Like give me something that's like practical. And it's like, well, I think content distribution is practical. You know, everyone talks about like ticket sales. Everyone talks about like, you know, the concept of community. Like why like buy like an album as like an NFT is because maybe then that gives you the right to like create like get exclusive merch or whatever that you can only get if you've like bought the
But
album.
I don't think a lot of people are like so one of the biggest trends of like the kind of 2000s was people going back to like vinyl and stuff like that, but it was because of like the physical tactility of that different experience, right? I don't obviously there is a small group of fans who like will just like fucking chew up anything, right? But I'm not sure that like fans are looking in general for like a digital experience, you know, like those kind of overdeveloped. I think record companies think that stuff is cool. I think bands go along with it. I'm not sure how much over engineering it is for a use case that doesn't really exist.
What do you mean like
95
digital experience? Like I'm talking about like real world things. They're like real world things that are like mediated by like these NFT tokens.
Sure, but like again, the middleman in this case, yes, is charging fees and all that sort of stuff, the ticket seller. But you know, you can also just sell your tickets on We Got Tickets, right? And they charge you like 5%. Like, so you don't have to use Ticketmaster. That's a business decision that people are doing, probably because their label is partly owned by Ticketmaster. You know, it's more about the
Yeah, and
corporate
you're
structure.
never gonna get those people, but there's I think there's entry points. There's like cracks that are opening it all up because like these services are really shitty. Like look at ebooks. Like it's such a weird fucking market, and I don't know exactly like where you break in, but all these publishers have just been absolutely fucked by Amazon. You know, Amazon charges 30 to 60% to transmit a fucking file over the internet, and like authors don't make a ton of money. Like that's fucking outrageous. And like
It's
we have
way worse than you think. Trust me.
yeah, and it like here's an opportunity, and you know, you just it's like a really fucking simple product. You could even just like, you know, build this on top of like Stargaze, for example. You just like, you know, like have a store, you list the like, you know, ebooks for sale, you know, you like integrate some like Web 2 APIs so that it can get sent to their like, you know, Nook or their whatever like fucking e-ink device, or you know, you can also just download the PDF or the ebook or whatever. It's fine. It's like, and then you just start going to publishers and just being like, hey, what if you want to like integrate this into your like, you know, into your website? And so here's some widgets, and now you can integrate it into your website. And guess what? You don't have to pay any, like you don't have to pay 30 to 60% to Amazon, you know? And you might like it'll be slow at first. But you know, these things like I feel like it's inevitable because I think that the tech companies are fucking gouging all these publishers, whether it's in music or like in, you know, definitely in like books, I feel like. And so like, you know, if you make it like easy enough for them, like eventually like the like decentralized self-publishing movement will like really take off.
I kind of agree with you, but I disagree on where the content will live. Like I think that the thing that is the value add there is like I launch a smart contract that powers my store, and then I am the mediator, right? I just plug in a back end, and then my back end is just a Web 2 service running on AWS that when it gets the ACK saying, yo, transaction written to the blockchain, you've been paid, brother, it then fires off the email with the PDF, with the EPUB, whatever. But like that content, like the EPUB or whatever, that kind of content doesn't need to live on the chain. Or even a reference to it. Why does it need to? Because the thing that matters is the payment, right? Because this is all about taking control of like you said, if you're eliminating middlemen and that sort of thing. what you really need is the payment infrastructure that doesn't involve a banking provider, really.
Yeah.
Or
And it's
the
like,
large corporate. But
or you can think about it, like if you really want to be like, you know, a bootlicker, you can just be like, hey, like USDC, it's basically a banking provider, and it's way easier to use than like Visa or MasterCard. And it's also cheaper to use too. Like you don't have to pay a 2.5% of a transaction fee. That's like,
yeah. Well, I mean, yes and no. I mean, USDC couldn't even fucking process a transaction to our business bank in the UK. So they, yeah, I think they're kind of a bit overrated. I'd rather get paid in just a crypto and cash out, but then that's kind of back to the problem, right? Is that like if you make it as decentralized as possible to just a wallet, it will definitely 100% work. Unlike USDC, which doesn't definitely 100% work if you're going through their thing.
wait, USDC works great. Or are you talking about like, do they have some like business service or something they use, or?
Their internal tooling is kind of shitty, but then you know the flip side of that is you can just get paid in USDC and then withdraw it from Kraken, which will work. And Kraken,
Yeah, see, exactly. There you go. Like that's great. And then there's like
I don't trust their ability to build
there's
UI.
Transact, there's Cado. Like I think that there's a lot to be said this year of like, you know, what's the crypto use case is like just do fucking simple shit and just like do it more efficiently, you know.
So
cut out the middleman, like don't even like have to like create like, you know, like a new term for it. You know, we don't have to be like NFTs, DAOs, ASICs, you know, like just like constantly throwing acronyms at people, you know.
well, yeah, if you give people something they want and need, they'll just hand over their money and go, cheers.
Yeah. Also, but this is also, I feel like something that we hear in crypto like time and time again, like every fucking cycle is, when are the use cases going to come? When are the use cases going to come? And people don't really see like how things have been like fucking progressing. Like they ask this because they're just like normies and not involved in like, not like seeing like the drastic, like when Bitcoin started, it was literally just this like really shitty payment network. And now we have entire financial systems. Like crypto can run entire financial systems. Soon it's going to be like crypto can run like entire governments. Like crypto can run like marketplaces where people can sell and like even earn royalties from media. And people are still asking like, where are the use cases? Where are the use cases? And it's just like, it's kind of this like slow thing, and then it's like that slowly, and then suddenly all at once kind of thing.
Well, at the moment, it's still like, you know, the whole thing is sort of still just beta testers and developers trying things out, right? It's like still ultra early, and like, yeah, man, like it's the type of thing where you have to build something, try it on, see if people like it, go from there. And like, there's going to be tons of shit that people build that people are just going to hate and that are going to fail. And there's going to be the odd thing that gets traction. And when you like get more and more of those odd things that gain traction, you're going to like attract more and more users to the ecosystem. And eventually you'll hit some sort of critical mass where people talk and it'll just exponentially explode. But it's going to take time. It's going to take still a long time from now. And
so
it's not going to happen overnight.
Even then, like, I guess the flip side is like you'd be surprised at what ideas are being taken from the ecosystem and are actually like then getting executed elsewhere, right? Because there's ideas that might not work or be too early or whatever, and other people are going, oh no, but we can apply that lesson or whatever elsewhere. Like I remember like how good like early Bitcoin or early-ish Bitcoin, like early 2010s, it was actually relatively quick. Like, I mean, you could accept a payment in like 5 minutes, which is not perfect, but you know, this was at a time when you didn't really get good online banking apps.
Yeah, there was no Venmo then. People, yeah, there was no Venmo.
A settled payment took ages, and I remember like here's a QR code, pay me, or like buying a pizza with Bitcoin, QR code, bam, done.
I think actually
that being like a way better mobile experience than any bank. And then in the UK, certainly like Monzo, Starling, Tide, others, challenger banks came along and they made that experience just seamless for banking. Like sign up by saying, I would like a bank account, bam, you're done. All that kind of stuff was completely like a revelation. And I think actually it was Ben Davis, who is in the chat, who said, "Oh yeah, one of the early investors of Monzo or one of the founders was a crypto guy," and you're like, okay, there you go. That's the answer. Is that somebody took the idea and went, the masses aren't ready for that, but they go, oh well, but look, these payments are more seamless. They're easier to use at the moment. They're not quick, but the UI is better. What of these lessons can I take and apply elsewhere? And they go and start an actual bank, dealing in pound sterling, and it's a huge, £1 billion success. So you're also just like, some of the successes in crypto won't happen in crypto. They will actually happen elsewhere, but maybe something else will get improved, maybe.
I tend to think that crypto has forced banks to like evolve and improve their services, because when Bitcoin first came out, sending money, like you say, from one person to another was dog shit and took at least a day, right? I'm not sure what it's still like in America, but in Australia, it took a fucking day to send something minimum. And now we have instant transfers. And I'm pretty sure that is just trying to stay ahead of the curve on crypto, and trying to evolve, because the whole system was ancient and no one was motivated to do anything about it because it was the status quo and there was no competition for that. So all of the banks got together and created a new protocol with the interbank communication to be able to actually make that happen. So I think crypto is like pushing, normal finance as well as the whole crypto industry moving along separately. So I don't know. I think there's going to be a lot more things like that. And if all crypto does is improve the traditional finance, landscape, well, I mean, that's a win anyway, right?
Well, I mean, so right now, international payments still go through, I think, the SMART system, which is still hand done. Every single transaction that's international is done through this one thing, which is why it's still Swift. Thank you. That's the one. Smart Swift. I was close. And so if that's eventually overthrown because of crypto, I mean, that's a good thing just in itself. I mean, Swift is kind of the reason why, remittance costs are so high, because they need to go through something. So they end up going through, that cash payment place, Western Union. They go through Western Union frequently instead of going through banks. Crypto has helped with that.
Yeah.
So
I think
initially that was like,
there's like the regulator even has an accelerator thing saying that like we will, if you are a business looking at using this technology for this use case, we will potentially work with you. But by the way, FYI, you're going to get regulated as fuck because you're handling real fucking money. But we are kind of like, we recognize this is going to be one of the first things that somebody wants to do with this tech. I'm pretty sure it's literally on the FCA's website.
So one of the first things that, one of the original use cases for XRP was cross-border payments, and they pushed that pretty hard. And, there are like a bunch of networks that are pretty decent that could handle like shitloads of transactions and would be good for that. Like XRP is probably one of them. I'm not saying that I like the XRP, network because, well, Ripple owns like 60% of the coins there, so it's not fantastic in that regard. But there's also that other one that's like, shit, I can't remember the name of it now, but it's
Stellar. Is that what you're thinking? XLM?
No. It's like funded by Google and Amazon and all of those people, and it's the way it works is like crazy weird. It's not like per block finality. It's like uses this gossip protocol, so you actually don't talk to all of the validators. You tell some of the validators some information, and then they just pass it on in a Merkle tree, and then you end up with this crazy what is it called?
Is that Hedera Hashgraph?
Yeah, Hashgraph. Yeah, it's pretty fast, and like can handle shitloads of transactions. Like networks like that would be good for cross-border transactions, and I think that's a good use case for those. But they have to be able to store the money, and for example, XRP could never be that because you can't invest a heap of money in XRP because it's all basically owned by someone. At least half of it's owned by one entity. So you would never adopt that as a global sort of token. So, and that's the other thing, like you're going to make, if one of these networks becomes like the de facto for like all of these cross-border transaction situations, the initial issuer is going to be fucking ultra rich. Unless you like come up with some sort of situation where, I don't know, it's like you're going to centralize a lot of money. Even things like USDC, right? It becomes a thing where you're swapping like a US dollar currency for the virtual equivalent, right? And that's fine, but unless like you just centralize all that currency in one big ball. So, you know, in my mind, I'm thinking like a situation where you need to actually sacrifice, you know, like a real world currency in order to get the virtual equivalent, but still recognized as a legal tender is probably the way that like you could get that distribution to work without having some person or entity that just gets ultra rich from it. So like, you know, kind of like how a bridge works, you take your US dollars and you burn it into like, you know, the central bank equivalent. So the actual real money supply becomes less.
This sounds kind of like a central bank digital currency is what you're describing.
Yeah, so we need that.
because it has to be, yeah, it has to, yes, as Sporthy in the chat said, like a central bank digital currency.
Wait, did I just invent something that already exists? What an idiot.
Yeah.
Delegate king nodes.
But the other question here was, so there's two ways of going about it, right? You'd have a proof of stake network or whatever, where validators are obviously going to be regulated in that scenario if it's a central bank digital currency, and they're probably going to be in multiple jurisdictions because they're going to be trying to run this. And who's going to run it? Probably the US government, because dollars, petrodollars, so it's the clearinghouse for everything. And that would still probably be better than the current system, but it's not exactly the glorious anarchist future that we were all hoping for.
No, the glorious anarchist future is definitely, it's happening.
History is not with you on that one, I will say, but we can hope, but you know, overwhelmingly the historical record shows that.
I think it'll probably most likely be a mix. Like there's going to be like central bank digital currencies or whatever. But the cool thing about IBC is like that allows like this way for these countries to connect their CBDCs and to connect with like independent blockchains, whether those be blockchains run by like private companies or decentralized ones. And so I feel like, you know, one of the things about the Internet of Blockchains vision is that we'll actually have multiple competing visions. Like the anarchists, like crypto anarchist blockchains will live alongside like the state blockchains, and will live alongside like private enterprise ones. And it'll all be like this like swarming massive cryptographic state machines that can send verified packets between each other.
Sounds very energy efficient.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say, if you think
about it, you know, we run this internet right now with like a fuck ton of infrastructure. It's not that different. This is not like Bitcoin mining, you know, and the algorithms are getting better and better. Also, you know, like a central bank digital currency, they might only need like 20 nodes, or like, you know, they don't need to be as decentralized as like, you know.
Well, I was going to say that in this model, the more anarchist you are, the more likely you want proof of work. The more you are a central bank digital currency, the more likely you can tolerate proof of stake. Like, if I, you know, like joking aside, if you were like long term going to hang your hat on a currency to clear payments, like as in we are going to build Bandcamp on a blockchain, are you going to do it on a proof of stake chain where people can vote away your assets? Like if you're Universal Records or whoever, if you're like a really big band, if you're like, I don't know,
If you're
fucking
Universal Records,
if
you
you're
launch you
Radiohead,
launch
right,
your
and you
own
want to
fucking
do,
chain.
if
Like,
you want to do In Rainbows again, right, you're Radiohead, you want to do it, you're going to do payments clearing on a blockchain. There's millions of dollars, right? We're talking about. Are they going to be like, we'll do it on a proof of stake blockchain?
yeah, they totally will. Because like I feel like the scenario that you mentioned, Alex, is like basically like only happened one time and we all fucking lived through it. But it's like that's like the only time I can think of it's ever happened.
Right, but it's going to become
And
more common.
it was a lot more nuanced. It could become more common, but I think that any place where it becomes like common without like sufficient like justification, like there it's not going to attract. Like I think proof of stake, like people won't even like, if anything, the Universal Musics of the world will run their own chains and they'll just like interact over IBC to the other like kind of more decentralized networks when needed, or to things like central bank digital currencies or like other tokens or whatever.
So all that's really happening here then is the privatization of money, because typically privatization occurs when people or companies lose faith in some sort of institution to act in their interests, and so they start building infrastructure of their own. Or there is also an efficiency case, but
I think it's more the efficiency case. Like,
yeah, but then that has its own. The efficiency case obviously can have its own implications in the kind of longer spread, because the efficiency case often does bear out, but then a lot of money gets made, and then it has secondary and tertiary political effects. The reason this is in my head is specifically I've been reading Corporate Warriors by, I think, P.W. Singer, which is about the privatization of the military after the end of the Cold War, and I was like, holy fucking shit, there's something about this that is tingling my timbers about the way corporations will enter this space. And what you've just described about corporations and IBC is like, yes, that is really, really similar to how very large corporations expanded horizontally into, hey, look, there's this growth industry. It's called killing people. It turns out it's quite profitable. I mean, I'm actually, I'm
it's getting
simplifying.
really dark really quick.
Well, Portland's kind of doing something right now with that, with the police. The police are doing what's called a slowdown, where they basically just don't answer the phone in order to protest defund the police movement. But anyway, ignoring that, there's a lot of private security firms that are coming about, basically filling in that gap. But it is only exclusively for businesses, right? They're not going to be hiring private security that happens for the everyday person. And so we're getting more crimes around like property crimes, because our homeless population has gone up something like 30% in the last year. And businesses are like, oh, these things are showing pretty good because they now have their private security. But everyday people are like, oh, this kind of sucks, because now.
Right. Because the problem is whoever's prepared to pay or able to pay then is able to not only be exempt from the problem, but also define how the problem is viewed and whether it's even defined as a problem. And that is there's a stats in that book somewhere about private security where I think it was talking about in like the issue of the year 2000, there were already twice as many private security guards. I can't remember if it was in the UK or the US as there were police. And that was like directly, you look at the graph where you're like reduction in funding of police, and it might probably the UK actually, because I feel like the US police have probably
we don't reduce funding for police. We just give them more money and we give them like military weapons. Yeah,
to shoot protesters.
That sounds like it came from the UK. Yeah.
Yeah, in the UK they probably just like, oh, just don't fund them at all. But also,
yeah, we love cops here. So
yeah, I think that probably in the UK what they did was defund them, but then they also said, oh, but we expect you to beat up students, but you'll have to do overtime in order to do it, but we're not going to pay you for the overtime.
Yeah.
So we'll hire in some private security to beat them up as well. Something like that. I don't know. I'm probably that's probably
how did we get on this tangent? This was
privatization of money.
Well, I think that this also gets to another thing that I think we're going to start seeing more and more is, and Sporthy put it in the chat, is like, it's not just proof of work. It's not just proof of stake. Those are the most popular models right now. But there's also POA, which is supported in Tendermint, or proof of authority, where you just say like this node, this node, this node, they're running transactions on the network. That network could use IBC assets like USDC or whatever sanctioned bootlicker coin you want, or also cool coins like Juno,
So that's how XRP works. There's like no staking in XRP. It's just a list of accepted nodes.
Yep, exactly.
It's like everyone agrees on a list, and then that's the list, and then no one else can join.
Yep.
Like the thing is, it's not the end of Yeah, I don't think it's the end of the world. You can pay your bills, whatever you pay your bill. It's kind of like, okay, so what it reminds me of is like if you go, okay, well, the currencies themselves are a little bit of a distraction. They're just a privatization of currency, and you go, okay, the blockchain just the tech does it. And you go, well, okay, look at the use case in Web 2. You go, well, there's a bunch of them are still going to be fundamentally better served by Web 2 tech. Like nothing in Web 3 is going to displace streaming data stores because it's just a fundamentally different use case, right? Like CERN are not going to be like, we need to process the Large Hadron Collider data onto a blockchain. It doesn't fucking make sense. It's throwaway data, it's logs, right? They're always going to use a different database technology. And but in the same way, there's like, the use cases for these things may just be completely just like the use cases for the underlying tech, like the actual blockchain as a database. Like there are different database technologies. Web 2 will probably always be run off slightly different stuff to Web 3 to the interchain. Fuck Web 2 and Web 3, it's such shit names.
Yeah,
the interchain will always be run off of consensus stores. Web 2 will likely always be run off of columnar type or NoSQL data stores or whatever. And then you go, okay, well, actually, by the same measure, like a central bank digital currency in which you pay your taxes is likely to be a particular type of thing with these particular properties. A privatized currency for different things, whether that's privatized currency issued by your residence association for the building you live in, or whether that's for some other thing, they're going to be completely heterogeneous and they have different use cases. And maybe that's fine. Maybe I'm freaking out over nothing. I don't know. It's going to be interesting and scary to see how it pans out, I guess.
That's just life. Life is interesting and scary.
Yeah, that's why I try not to leave the house too much. That's what this whole computer programmer thing was supposed to be about. But it turns out and you can't escape it. Comes to you.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry. Didn't mean to be such a downer. Sorry. This is what happens. We start talking about like the future of the internet and stuff.
Yeah, you're such a downer, Alex.
We purposely said that this was a positive podcast.
This was supposed to be the positive 2023.
Last year.
All the alpha at the show was CWSDK is great, even though it doesn't exist yet.
First of all,
so guys, on the spreadsheet here, it's got business plans. Is that supposed to be business plans ? What does this one mean?
Why start now? Literally, we're gonna open up this. Now you're gonna go to the spreadsheet. An hour 28 in.
Hey, let's go back to the spreadsheet in January 2023 now. The Big Balls blockchain.
Oh, hey Jake, do you know about the Christmas present from Usurp?
No.
Oh, is
it Big Balls?
Usurper last episode he gave us all Christmas gifts, and it's our email addresses on bigballsblockchain.com.
Okay, cool.
You could have DAO at bigballsblockchain.com.
All right, sounds great. I want it.
You want in?
The DAO.
Yeah.
You're in.
Sick.
I'm going to give you the keys to the Lamborghini.
Exactly.
That's Usurper. Yeah. I don't know. Like I just want to see the first CW SDK chain. I'm not gonna lie. That's my 2023 is like I want to see the first. I like the mesh security stuff and all that's kind of cool, but I want to see a chain that's completely like Rust, basically. and Cosmosm. That'd be fucking cool.
Yeah, that'd be great.
That'd be kind of ace. Anything else is a bonus. Although that was already pretty.
We are fighting for the liberation of man, not the liberation of these pigs and racist society.